To FSD or not to FSD? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous drivers, or to engage full self-drive and by opposing, have an intervention.
So here are our final thoughts on the full self-drive.
So just to give you a little bit of background, if you haven't watched all those other videos, we had our 30-day free trial, courtesy of Tesla, and it went from mid-May through mid-June. And we did a fair amount of stuff with it. We tested the commute, we tested some of our trickiest intersections, we did a video on summon, we did a video on automatic parking assist, we did a video that was a road trip that used FSD for probably 95 to 99% of it.
Yeah.
And this particular road trip that we're on is our road trip from to and from the Lake of the Ozarks. So hopefully you've seen that one. Subscribe so you can see when our new videos are coming out and all of that stuff.
But we did that one without the full self-drive because that was after the trial had expired, and instead we used a combination of manual driving and...
Well, it's the basic Autopilot suite, which is the basic Autopilot in a Tesla, the one that comes with the car. It doesn't cost you anything else as far as a purchase or subscription, is the traffic-aware cruise control, which slows down if the traffic flow in front of you slows down as well, but can maintain speed, will slow down for a corner, and the auto steer beta. In fact, I will just engage that, and the car is driving. So this is at 1,000 miles so far, and it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,400 by the time we're done, 1,400 miles by the time this road trip's done. So that's a good comparison, and we wanted to make the decision of whether or not we'd pay $100 to get another month's worth of FSD before we went on our road trip to Charlottesville, Virginia in a couple of months. And so here's what we think. Full self-drive on the Teslas, the way that it existed when we had the trial last month,
July 2024.
excelled at this type of road. Freeway, long stretches, where it can just maintain speed and deal with traffic and all of that stuff. It excelled at that. FSD wasn't so great, in my opinion, on surface streets and country roads and stuff like that. It really didn't like not having lane markers, although it would work, it just didn't like it. It would be a little too cautious at traffic circles. It would accelerate extremely heavily because I had it in an assertive setting, so it would give me hard acceleration off of the line at a green light. I got a recommendation to keep it in assertive, so I did, and the rest of the time, even on assertive, I thought it was a little too timid.
Weird, yeah.
On freeways, it would make a lane change or drift into the number one lane, the fast lane, like I'm doing right now to pass this truck. I'm passing this truck so I can be in this passing lane, but the car wanted to live in this lane, and
that's not legal in Texas.
And it might be legal in some other states, but it's not legal in ours.
Yeah. Left lane is supposed to be only for passing.
But this is the type of road that it absolutely excelled on. Basic Autopilot and auto steer, all I had to do to make that lane change, if with full self-drive, the car would have done it for me, but all I would have had to do is turn on the turn signal and the car would have handled that lane change without input from me. On this one, with the basic Autopilot, I had to turn on the turn signal and maybe nudge the wheel just a little bit, and it disengaged auto steer, but kept the cruise control going so we could make that pass, and then I signaled back into the lane, re-engaged auto steer. Is that worth $100 a month so I don't have to do that? My opinion for us is no. Your opinion can be different. Your opinion most definitely would be valid because I don't know what your situation is. But for us, it doesn't make sense. What do you think?
Well, it doesn't matter to me because I'm the passenger. But yeah, it seems like the full self-drive adds a little bit, especially like for a very long road trip. But for everyday driving, it doesn't seem like it's really worth paying extra for, at least not in our situation.
It really excels at this type of stuff, but the basic Autopilot, which we have right now, is doing it just fine.
Yeah, the basic Autopilot does most of what you would want your full self-drive to do anyway.
So it gives me that break. I would like the automatic lane change as far as controlling the lane change with the turn signal, but FSD would be... sometimes there's a reason that it says full self-drive supervised. You have to supervise it. Sometimes it does stuff that I don't want it to do. But there were some other perks that full self-drive had, like Summon. What was your opinion on that?
Summon is not ready for prime time. Summon does not work very well.
Well, I mean, the car did come to us after a few tries.
Kind of. I mean, it didn't come right to us, and it got confused. And yeah, I would not use that anywhere that there were people standing around.
Or other cars.
Oh my gosh, I've heard of people pranking people, like putting somebody in the passenger seat, getting out of the car, and then summoning the car. That I don't think that's safe. Honestly, that's not... Never mind whether it's funny, it's just not a safe thing to do to somebody.
But if you want to do that, Summon might work for you.
Don't do it. It's weird. Yeah, you can't trust the car. Yeah.
And then there was Auto Park, which it's very cautious when it's doing the automatic parking. It always seemed to back in, which I'm assuming it's because the car has to back into a supercharger when it's charging in public, right. So it just backs into every space. If you're in a crowded parking lot with the way the software existed in June of 2024, it would take too long, and people in that parking lot would get real impatient with you if there was a line of cars behind you. But it worked really well, I thought. And using it for chargers was great, but backing into a charger on my own with the cameras that this car has, I can get the car in straight just fine, and I can go a little bit quicker than Auto Park could do that maneuver. What was your opinion of the automatic parking, Rachel?
Automatic parking was good. It was slow. I mean, overall, the full self-drive system pretty much behaves like a 15-year-old with a learner's permit. So if you would be okay with your 15-year-old driving and you sitting in the passenger seat and just helping out from time to time, that's about the level of attention you would need in order to have the full self-drive driving your car.
The company calls it full self-drive supervised, which is a weird way of putting it as far as grammatical syntax, of telling you that you have to supervise what the car is doing.
You really do.
Because if the car can and will do something that you would not do as a driver.
It makes mistakes sometimes. It does weird things.
Like it didn't slow down for speed bumps.
Yeah.
It would go the speed limit of the street when we would try it on the speed bumps. That was not great. It could handle traffic circles okay, but again, would be a little timid. And if it's a high traffic roundabout, you kind of have to be a little aggressive to get in, or you're going to be stuck there, and you're going to be holding people up who are more aggressive, which can be a bit of a danger in there. So you have to supervise it. You can't just turn it on and let your cares fade away.
Yeah, I mean, the dream, the thing that everybody is chasing, but the technology is trying to accomplish, is full auto drive, where the car literally could drive and you could just take a nap. They are not there yet. That is not something that you can trust your car to do. You have to pay attention.
And even if the software's on this car, the software is not there. It's not there yet. Maybe by the time Tesla comes out with the robo-taxi or cybercab or whatever it is they're calling it now, they'll have improvements to it. But the software as it exists right now, it's when we had the trial in June 2024, it's not there.
Yeah.
There was an improvement. They are using this camera more to monitor, and even with auto steer, if I can keep my eyes forward and it can tell, even with the sunglasses on, it doesn't nag me as much to put pressure on the wheel or anything like that. It's if I glance down at the screen, then it's going to give me a nag pretty soon after that, if I check my mirrors or anything along those lines. But it's not at the point where you can set the destination, have the car drive you to your destination, and you take a nap. I actually don't think that NTSB would approve that anyway.
Yeah, well,
but-
I mean, I've read articles that say that that's really just not realistic, because what the car needs is just a lot of cues from the outside. It needs clear lane markers, and it needs, it needs to be able to have information that isn't necessarily obvious to a computer. And we may never be at that point where the car can really do it by itself unless we completely rebuild the roads.
But for us, I think really the basic autopilot is just fine. I enjoy driving the car on the city streets and the country road. I enjoy doing that driving manually, me personally. For a long road trip like this, it's nice for me to take a bit of a break, let Gwen drive for a while. As long as I'm staying in this lane on this freeway, and it won't navigate on autopilot. I still have to make sure it takes the right turns and things like that. But this gives me the break as a driver assistance feature. And no matter what, even with FSD, it's a driver assistance feature. It's not an autonomous car.
Right, that's a good way to put it.
People say, here, autopilot and full self-drive, and those
are misleading.
Are probably not the best terms to use.
Yeah.
It's a really good driver assistance.
Right.
Is what it is.
Exactly.
If you think of it as driver assistance software, it's really good. If you think of it as autopilot,
it's not.
Not so much.
Yeah.
So those are kind of our thoughts. So for our big road trip coming up in a couple of months,
the verdict is we will not be purchasing an extra month of the full self-drive, because we think that the features that the car already has is plenty for the driver assistance that we need for that trip.
Your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may
Your
vary.
opinion may vary. All of that. That road trip's coming up in September, so make sure that
stay tuned.
So make sure you subscribe. We're taking it in September. The videos probably won't be up till October, so make sure you subscribe so you can see those. Thanks for watching, guys, and check out channel memberships. They're there too.
Channel memberships. Bye.